Hi everyone, today we will be making an infinity cube. This is what an infinity cube is. Basically you can turn it around in your hands, kind of like a new wave fidget spinner. And I'm going to show you the directions on how to actually make this for yourself. In your kit that you received from the library, you got 8 3/4 inch wooden blocks. You've got your dots and an instruction sheet. Beyond this, all you will need is a marker and some basic Scotch tape. If you're worried about reinforcing the cube, you can use clear packing tape, but I would recommend cutting it down to like 3/4 inch wide so it doesn't hang over the blocks, makes it easier. The other thing I like to do is you'll need 16 pieces of tape, so I lay my tape out ahead of time just so I can grab it as I need to go. Step 1 is you take 2 of your cubes and you put them side by side. Take a piece of Scotch tape and you tape them together. You want to make sure you push down pretty hard on the tape and then you label them. This is our first hinge, so I'm going to put a 1 here and a 1 here. Now, we've made our hinge. You can see it bends. But to reinforce it, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fold it up like this, so cover my 1s, and I'm gonna wanna put a piece of tape behind the hinge that I just made. So I'm gonna tape it, push it down really tight, and all that does is that reinforces my hinge. You only need the number 1s on the one side, but we've made a nice reinforced hinge that won't break. Okay, now that we have our hinge 1, we're gonna take another block and sit it right on top of the one side, and we're gonna put a piece of tape over on this side, right here. Tape it down, push it down, and we're gonna label it 2, because it is our second hinge. I'll put a 2 here, and a 2 here. Again, we need to reinforce that hinge. So I'm gonna fold it down and I'm gonna put a piece of tape across here. So then we have hinge 1 and hinge 2. Okay, the next is our third hinge. So we're gonna put our block here, just like we did with hinge 2, but I'm gonna put tape on this side now. So I'm gonna take the tape, trying to make it as straight as possible, which I didn't do. Hold on 1 second. Sometimes it's easier to put it in your hands on the side. Line it up, and I'm gonna put a 3 on this one. So I have 1 and 2 and 3, but I haven't reinforced 3. So I'm gonna turn it down like this, and I'm gonna take my tape and reinforce our third hinge. Line it up and push it down. So we have 1, 1, 2, 2, and 3, 3. Okay, so I finished with my 1, 2, and 3 hinge, and now I'm gonna make the exact same thing as I made here with these 4. So I'm gonna start with 2 together, just like I did before, and I'm gonna put the tape right here across the top, and this is gonna be our 4th hinge. So I'm gonna write a 4 and a 4. And then don't forget we have to reinforce it, so I'm gonna fold it up and I'm gonna reinforce this back side. So that makes my 4 hinge. Then I'm gonna take a block and put it over top of my 4 over here, and we're gonna tape this side. And this becomes my number 5 hinge. But again, we have to reinforce the back side of it just to make it stay together when we're playing with it. So we have our 4s, we have our 5s, and now I'm going to do the same with the 6s. Put it on this far side, tape the top. And I have to reinforce it. So now I have 2 identical ones. With our identical cubes, we are going to put them together such that you can see the 5 and the 3 are together, and on the side is the 1 down here, and on the other side is the 4 down here. And above our 3 and 5, across the top, we're gonna make hinge 7. So I'm gonna take my tape, I'm gonna put it right here, line it up, push it down, and we're gonna write a 7 on it. I'm going to open it up so I can reinforce that hinge down here. Just like that. And then we're going to fold it back up again with the 7 back on the top. Okay, so after we finish our 7, now we need to make our 8 hinge, which is gonna go across here. So I'm gonna hold the cube again tight, take a piece of tape, and stretch it across, trying to make it straight. And I'm gonna write my 8s. The numbers are gonna come in handy when we start putting the dots on at the end. But don't forget, we have to reinforce our 8. So we're gonna flip it over, because that was our 8. We're gonna flip it over and we're gonna tape across right here, using my last piece of tape to make that hinge nice and reinforced. Okay, the next thing to do is to add our dots. So the dots that I got in this kit are red, blue, and purple. So you have your 7 and your 8s facing up. So I'm gonna start with my red dots, and I'm gonna cover the 7 and the 8s. Just be careful to keep it on one cube as you're doing it as best you can. And these are all gonna be the same color. I chose red to start with. It doesn't matter which color dots you get in your kit. It's gonna look really cool at the end, no matter what colors it is. Once I've covered the 7 and the 8, you flip your entire cube upside down, so hide the reds, and we're gonna put reds on these 4, just like I did on the last 4. You could also color these with markers or paint if you wanted to. I just like the effect that the dots give. So I have red on one side and red on the other side. Okay, my next color is gonna be my blue. So I'm gonna put one of the blank faces up that doesn't have the color, and I'm gonna start the same way I did with the reds, but I'm putting the blues. This happens to be my number 4 side. And as long as you're doing them opposite of each other, it doesn't matter which color you choose to start with on which side. So I did my 4 blues, and again, I'm gonna flip it completely upside down. My 1s are up. I'm gonna cover this side with blue. So I have blue and blue. Now I have 2 blank sides left. So we're gonna use our last color, which is purple. So I'm gonna take the purple, I'm gonna take the purple dots. This is over the 3 and the 5. Again, the numbers just helped us when we were keeping track of the hinges, and they're all gonna be covered up by these dots. So I did one side with the purple, and now my last side with the purple. Okay, so I have colors on all 4 sides, and this is your infinity cube. And you can go through and play with it and move it around. Oh, some of my stickers. There we go. It loosens up after you play with it a little bit too, so that'll help. Be careful with your dots. You can make all the color go away or whichever, and this is the one we started with that I've played a lot with. So it's very easy to manipulate. And that is your infinity cube.